Spirits of French Lick is proud to introduce the Lee Sinclair 4-grain bottled and bond bourbon. This 4-year aged double pot distilled non-chill filtered bourbon has creamy, round, and lifting notes with caramel and vanilla, followed by apple, mint, graham cracker, and ginger, as well as cardamom. The finish is slightly French walnut, resolving the sweet, fruity, almost ground cherry and white pepper. Our spirits are available for tasting and purchase inside the French Lick Winery and Distillery. Spirits of French Lick. Respect the grain. Please enjoy responsibly.
Pass it to me, Joe.
We already running on the YouTube, so we're good.
Yep.
Jeff, you look grumpy.
I think that was the point.
Oh, it was?
He wants to be grumpy today. It's been that kind of day.
Like,
all I have to do is say.
All
I have to do is say one word, and he'll just be grumpier.
Do that.
It'll be the word Stokes.
No, please don't do that.
What the fuck did you just say? You better not have just said Stokes. Asshole.
I told you.
Maybe we can drink to Stokes tonight.
Yeah, right.
Alright.
Yeah, you get some content. Art.
Thank you. There you go.
Oh.
Cheers.
Cheers, my friend.
You're
Cheers.
gonna like the pre-pour.
Okay.
You don't even
So
know
I don't even know what it is because I didn't pay the fuck attention. But where did you pull it from?
I pulled it from the bottom good shelf.
The bottom good shelf? Chicken cock?
Nope. It's in that section. It's that bottom section, so it's not
the 12-year, 1792.
Oh yeah.
Good choice.
I love this. This is good bourbon.
This is a good bourbon for people who like Chardonnays.
Yeah.
Because it's very
nice,
oaky,
dry and oaky,
but it's not too oaky.
It's still nice and sweet. Yeah. It's like the best of both worlds.
I think I like the 12-year. The most. I talked about you on the podcast with the Bourbon Snob podcast based off of how you like Scotch.
Right.
And you like the taste of gun oil, and I don't.
Right.
Just, for instance...
With the Ardbeg.
Yeah. And so, actually there's a show on HBO, which, have you ever heard, or not HBO, actually it's on Showtime. Have you ever heard of Outlander? The show Outlander, or the books?
Actually, I've heard of it, not necessarily of the show, but I've heard of the Scotch that's featured on that show.
Okay, so Outlander...
Because my wife's cousin in South Carolina actually has a bottle of it, and was asking me about it.
So the two guys that were in Outlander are now starting their own series where they tour around Scotland, visiting distilleries. They went to Lamberlag, and they were at Ardbeg, and then they also were at there was one other one last night on their first show. It was like the initial show. They go and eat everywhere and stop off at places and have chefs cook them all the good stuff of Scotland. So that was kind of interesting watching that.
Yeah, that would be really cool.
So Limestone Branch.
I enjoy Scotch, but I'd admit my Scotch game is a little weak. But that's because with it being an import, it's kind of hard to get your hands on it. And I'm not really willing to drop in $60 to $100 for a bottle of Scotch that I don't know what it tastes like yet.
Yep.
So
this is number 26.
All right. Season 2. Are we still in season 2? Or did we bump up to season 3 yet?
No, we're season 2.
Still season 2. Okay. I just wasn't sure. When's the bump up to season 3? After we hit 50 in season 2? Or?
Well, yeah, it's right around 100 of total. 26,
Okay.
26. It's each year is a season, and we do. But this might be 60 this year because right now we're only on our 66th podcast.
Right.
Total. I don't know what's going on here.
Well,
What's
I
happening?
should probably get my microphone out of the package.
Yeah, but I gotta
Probably be good help.
somehow make sure this is all working. It says it is. USB condenser microphone, okay. Podcast studio, quit podcast studio. Let's start podcast studio up now. There we go. And I think I'm on. Yes, I am. Let's go. USB condenser, USB front. I am on. And I want to be blue. And then you, on the other hand, faster.
It's right by your leg.
Ooh! I think it's right here or here. Where are the other? Let's see. I think it's there. Is that it? That's it. That's the hole. But there you go.
Hey, I heard something click.
All right. There's that. Now we'll go young mouse. I know this is going to be a.
Tiny.
Nope, not that. Plus.
My
Johnson.
microphone
Then I'm going to
has
make
a
it
crack.
yellow.
Or I
Yes.
just know like a divot.
Samsung. Yeah. So now here you go again. Add. Are you there?
I'm here, but I cannot hear you yet.
All right. I can't hear you. And that's because we're using the same damn microphone. Podcast studio.
Why does it do that every time?
Yeah, I just don't.
I don't understand.
Preferences. Let's turn off that.
Hey,
Turn.
I can hear you.
Turn that off. Turn that on.
Oh,
Turn that on.
nope.
Hold on. No. What it means. It's this. All right, can you hear me?
Oh yeah, yes I can.
And I gotta see if I can hear you. All right, I hear you. So now we gotta take you up, me down. Then I gotta take you up, me down, and then I gotta take you, me down, and you up. All right, there we go. That usually has been working well.
I would say so. I can hear myself a little bit better.
Now we're going to do Lee W. Sinclair.
Gotta load it. Our lovely sponsor, Spirits of French Lick,
Yes.
Alan Bishop and Joel Lee. Casper Zach. Right?
Was that right?
Casper Zach?
Casper Zach.
Ah, got it! Hey, I hear Johnson's headphones.
Does it say Young Nose Johnson?
No, I just skipped out the young nose. It just said Johnson.
That's fucking funny as shit. Oh my god. Other cancel. Okay. Yeah, right. These are Johnson's headphones. Yeah, baby.
Oh, yeah. Jason Johnson, to be exact.
I can hear you moving it.
His hip struck the knee of the next player. Still noises on another microphone. Blow me.
His dick hit somebody else's hip. The tin box held his priceless stones. Go fuck yourself, you fucking cocksucker.
What did it say?
Where he held his priceless stones.
The tin box held his priceless stones. His hip hit the foot of the next player.
His dick hit the hip of the next player. I don't know why I had a charger here yesterday. Can you pull the charger Oh, give me that charger. I need that for this so it doesn't die in the middle and we lose all our music. Well, yesterday I had to play it on the stupid CD because the frickin' dumb. Okay, bastard. Let's turn on blue light. Wait. I'm gonna get comfortable today, man. Alright, blue light. Blue light special. Yeah, now that's for us, our YouTube people. Oh, let's go. What is going on? Alright, there we go. Music.
Deliciousness.
Oh, come on. Why is it the end, bastard? It should not be the doors, the end. Mobile speaker. That was the end. Let's go like that. There it is. Doors 50th anniversary. Okay.
Oh, show me the way.
Alright. Alright, we are ready with the music. We're ready with the recording. We're ready with the Whiskey Bible, my read on the spirit of French lick, my glasses. Okay, let's put this over here. You get this.
Yep.
I get this read, which can come right there. Glasses right here.
Got all the history.
Yep. It's like I want to turn everything up because I can't hear it. Oh, I know why I can't hear as well.
You got your hat on.
I got my hat on and it's covering it up, so I'm not as loud as I am to myself when I talk like this. This is how I love to talk.
Welcome to NPR Radio, featuring your host, Jeffrey Miller.
Tiny. This is tiny. I love to talk about tiny balls.
Made of chocolate.
Yes.
Pecans.
Very, very sweaty tiny balls. Sweaty balls.
Schwetty.
Yes.
Sweaty balls.
We're gonna call this.
My sweaty balls.
All right. I haven't even. I got to keep pre-drinking here. Let's just take this 12-year-old.
By its sweaty balls.
All right, that's going on YouTube, but it's not going to go on the damn. Keep your stones in your box. It's like God. All right, here we go. Remember, Spirit of French Lick plays first, and you got to be as quiet as possible. 1. Start countdown. Here we go. Hey, Rach, we're recording. Oh, it's another edition of the Scotch Bourbon Boys.
Show me the way to the next whiskey bar. Oh, don't ask why. Oh, don't ask why. Show me the way to the next whiskey bar. Oh, don't ask why.
Hello, Young Nose Johnson.
Well, how's it going over there, Tiny?
It's going pretty good. We are doing this podcast a day later than we planned to
Yeah, that's okay.
because of the snow.
Yeah, we had a little freak snowstorm, which didn't turn out to be too bad, but still not worth risking it.
Yeah, and then I just heard the microphone try and cut out on us, and I don't understand that, but I'm going to get this off my lap and over here because that's how we ended the last podcast, where all of a sudden we were just not there.
We were on the plug out, and then we just dropped out.
I was just like we were supposed to, and it was just gone like that.
Right.
Well, you heard the ad for Lee W. Sinclair, a very delicious bourbon, and also that was Alan Bishop reading the promotion for that delicious bourbon, and they are the Spirit of French Lick, which is Alan Bishop and Jolie Kaslerzak. They are our official sponsors of the Scotch Seed Bourbon Boys right now. We have a couple sponsorships still available. But it's like you can only be the first sponsor once. You know, we've had unofficial sponsors that we'll get to later on in the broadcast, but this is a legitimate, real sponsor, and that's why we like to do the ad. But then we also like to do a little of the reading. I like to practice to see how much better I can get each week. So, one of the few artesian distilleries equipped with a grain mill on site, complete with a seed cleaner to help produce a pure spirit, free from offending flavors. The Lee Sinclair, a 4-grain bourbon with a mash of corn, wheat, oats, barley, is the flagship product. It's a powerful testimony to the historic Sinclair, once a prominent French Lick businessman, responsible for making the West Baden Springs Hotel dome the architectural feat it is. So, cheers to Lee Sinclair, a very prominent person in history of French Lick and West Baden, and so that gets us through that. And I think I'm getting better, wouldn't you say there, Young Nose?
Yeah, definitely getting a little bit more comfortable reading through there, and a little bit more energetic also.
With my glasses.
Well,
that really helped.
I need my glasses every day.
Yeah, but to read those fine prints now, it was getting to the point where I was half guessing what I was reading, and that just was not working for the podcast, so I was able to do that.
Well, cheers to Spirits of French Lick, Alan
Cheers.
Bishop, and Jolie Kasperzak for making some delicious stuff out there. Not just bourbons, but all kinds of spirits.
And just a little thing, I know I'm going to be getting, Jolie is going to be sending up some samples for us to taste. And then in April, we are headed down to Kentucky, and we will be stopping by the distillery to do a podcast, I believe Thursday morning, April 20, I want to say 2nd, because Wednesday the 21st is when I'm leaving. So we, Roxy, myself, and Super Nash will be there.
You're heading to Indiana and then down to Bardstown?
No, we're going to be down in Bardstown, and then Thursday morning we're going to leave early, drive up through Louisville into Indiana. It's about an hour, 45-minute drive. Get there right around 10 o'clock. Have them meet Roxy and Super Nash, and then also whip out a podcast.
Sounds like an awesome time.
It is an awesome time. The distillery is a pretty cool place. Alan has set up his little den of distilling, and it's really, seriously, a really cool place.
Well, one of these times I will definitely make my appearance out there. I would definitely love to meet Alan and Julie and just go see the distillery and the grounds and everything. I was actually talking to my wife. We are planning a trip to Cincinnati also. We're going to be heading down there probably in May.
Okay.
Is probably where we're going to be heading with that, and then going to check out a couple of distilleries down there, and we are also going to be doing an indoor skydiving.
Well, that's cool. That's really cool. I know I've seen those before.
Yeah.
But it's the Sycamore, which Shea Pridemore comes from. He comes from that distillery down in Cincinnati.
Okay.
But then right across the border, which is still in Ohio, it's like the parking lot's in Ohio, and the distilleries in Kentucky is the New Riff, the distillery. So that is that's a place to go. As far as a distillery, so you got some really cool distilleries right down there within really close driving distance of Cincinnati. So you'll have fun.
Oh yeah, it'll definitely be a blast. But I will be joining you for the April, just not with the whole trip. I'll still be there Friday night, and then
or hopefully you can get there Friday afternoon to get into this Dant distillery, Wally Dant. That's going to be after the Limestone. The log.
We'll get into that a little.
A little bit later when we're into it, which is a really cool thing. And then gonna go. We're just gonna have a good time when we're there in April. There's more news about what we're going to be doing there, but we can't say what we're going to be doing there yet completely. Have not got the go, but we know we're going to do it.
Go ahead.
It's a teaser.
We just want to tell everybody.
So
anyway, with that said, before we actually get into the meat and potatoes here, let's go through our weekly checklist.
Our checklist of where we're at. I mean, because we're everywhere. We can't really add too many more places to be because everywhere I can think we can be, but you've got that covered. So let's go from there.
So first and foremost, the Scotchy Bourbon Boys has their own website. You can check us out there at www.scotchybourbonboys.com.
Booyah!
Booyah! From there, you could check out pretty much anywhere that we're at. There's links up to our Facebook page or in the group. We are all over Facebook, as you know. They are also on Instagram and Twitter, the big ones there. We're on there, active, present. Please like us, subscribe, follow us, and I'm not sure what the Twitter one is. Is that follow also?
Yeah, you follow on Twitter at Scotchy Dub. At Scotchy Dub.
I don't really maintain the Twitter one, so I'm not.
Well, I don't do lately. I'm not happy with Twitter. There's a lot of stuff that's happened that I'm not happy with. They don't do anything, so I really haven't been pushing the Twitter. We've been pushing all the other venues and avenues.
Oh, had a little cutout there. I heard that.
Yeah.
Not sure what's going on with the techiness.
I'm trying. I'm hoping that doesn't. Yeah. Anyways.
Anyway, so continuing onward, we are all over podcasts. If you listen to podcasts and enjoy your podcast, please subscribe to what you hear so you don't miss any new content that gets thrown out there. I know Tiny has been doing some solo podcasting, little rants here and there. We call those the Tiny Talks.
Exactly. The last one that dropped was based off the Whiskey Snob. Listen to that. That's worth it.
The Whiskey Snob. The title alone just makes you go, I want to know about that.
Yeah, because there's all different types of whiskey snobs, and I cover what to do with a whiskey snob because there's different ways you can handle what happens, especially with a whiskey snob. So I've got that covered.
That is true. But different people react different ways. So one more thing is if you're on the Scotchy Bourbon Boys website, please check out the Scotchy blog. We do a monthly blog. Actually, I write those out myself. Here, Young knows. And is the February one up?
It's not up, but it's going to be up very soon.
Okay, because I re-emailed the PDF version to Roxy.
And I gave her the other version yesterday. I would say that it's going to be getting up in the next couple days, and depending on what her work schedule is.
Okay, good to know. So please check that out. A lot of interesting stuff. I like to try to incorporate some humor into my writing. Anywhere you can get podcasts, we're all over. Again, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Google, Amazon Music, Stitcher, Pandora, TuneIn, Alexa, Podchaser, Podcast Addict, Podcast Casts, Podcast Inbox, and Play or FM. I almost
said
screwed
it
that one
again.
up. The flamers
Yes,
up in here.
yeah, that's just not good. The tune-in Alexa. Alexa is cool because if you have Alexa and you just ask it to play the podcast, it will play the current or take you to the podcast area, all just by asking. My daughter thinks it's the coolest thing. I was over at her house this weekend, and she's telling her her soulmate Justin. She's like, watch this, and she's like, Alexa, play the newest episode of the Scotchy Bourbon Boys, and bam, there it was. That last week's episode. So it's
That's
really
awesome.
really kind of a cool thing. So if you got that, check that out because you don't have to do anything more than ask.
I'll have to try that when I'm at my mother-in-law's house the next time because she has a Google Home.
Yeah, it feels it'll work.
Yep.
Yes, it'll work. So that brings us to the Scotchy Bourbon Boys group that we have formed. The main place that we formed this group was in person here in Canton, Ohio. We've got a group of 9, I think
10.
we went to 10 members, 10 official members. And that was kind of cool. So we do meetings. We're probably going to be meeting sometime in March once I find out what my March schedule is because February kind of went by the wayside.
Do you want some water yet?
Yes, please give me some water in the glass that I had the 1792-12 here. Thank you.
Yep.
That was our pre-drink today. But also the Scotchy Bourbon Boys group, which keeps growing and growing. We are 332 members strong, along with 7 new members this week that we want to highlight and congratulate for becoming Scotchy Bourbon Boys. There's Crystal Bast, Stephen J. Hall Jr., Leanne Herring, Scott Wilson, Daniel Z. Sanchez, and Jeremy Schell. So thank you for joining the Scotchy Bourbon Boys. Love to have you part of the group. Hopefully you'll participate. I noticed that Scott Wilson is already posting in the group. Keep posting, talking about all that we're going to do. So there you go with the Scotchy Bourbon Boys group.
Welcome, new members. Glad to have you here on the Scotchy Bourbon Boys group. Cheers, everybody.
Yep. Cheers. So that brings us to what we're going to be doing today. I think so, correct?
I believe so, yeah.
I mean, we've done all the other stuff. Say hi
all
to...
that other stuff.
You can find us also on YouTube.
Yes.
This podcast at the moment is being recorded. So go to YouTube. And then also the Patreon account that we have set up that you can get to from our website or go to Patreon, the Scotchy Bourbon Boys, where you can support us. And for as little as $3 a month, you get a posting chip, and you can win prizes with that posting chip. Or, $10 and $15, $25, you get T-shirts, posting trips. There's a ton of swag.
Stuff,
You can get the Glencairn Scotchy Bourbon Boys, Glencairn, and then that we'll be tasting out of today. And so those are just different ways to support us. And but getting to our main topic today, we have a very special member of the Scotchy Bourbon Boys. That's Stephen Beam. And Stephen Beam is the master distiller along with his brother Paul Beam.
Yep.
They run the Limestone Branch Distillery. Now, Young Nose is going to get into the history of what and how this all went about, because Paul and Stephen are descendants of the J.W. Dant family and the Jim Beam family. So they've got both families in, their...
So in other words, they're the ultimate distiller.
Yeah, and now they run the Limestone Branch Distillery. But the tie-in between J.W. Dant in the 1800s and how the Yellowstone line runs and how it ended up back into Limestone Branch and the Beams distilling it is really kind of an amazing story, and Young Nose will kind of get that to you.
Oh yeah, so there is all kinds of information here. We've got information from Limestone Branch's website. We have information from Wikipedia, as well as an article from bourbonbeach.com. So thank you to all of those sources for tonight's information. So we're going to start off with the Yellowstone Bourbon brand. That would be a good starting point. So this is coming from bourbonbeach.com. The Yellowstone Bourbon was first bottled in 1872 by J.B. Dant at his Cold Springs Distillery near Gethsemane, Kentucky. J.B. Dant was the son of J.W. Dant, one of the many sons of J.W. that entered into the distilling industry. J.B. Dant built his Cold Springs Distillery in 1854, and by 1865, the firm of D.H. Taylor and Company of Louisville had become the main customer. Dant's whiskey had a great reputation, and D.H. Taylor was selling it in markets across America. The story told is that D.H. Taylor and Company salesman Charles Townsend, while traveling out west, did an informal poll of his customers, and they thought a brand of bourbon named for the newly opened Yellowstone National Park would be a brand that people out west would purchase. It was decided to have some of Dant's bourbon branded as Yellowstone, and it was a great success. In 1876, John T. Williams joined Taylor, and they formed a new company named Taylor & Williams. Their main office was located at 27 3rd Street between Main and Water, in the heart of Louisville, or Whiskey Row. Their flagship brand was Yellowstone Bourbon, but also sold Honeydew and Rich Hill whiskeys, all made for them by J.B. Dant in Gethsemane. By 1882, they had grown and moved to a bigger facility on 3rd Street. J.T. Williams acquired the shares of the company from David H. Taylor when he retired in 1892. Also, while bottling became economical for the distillers, the brand was bottled with a label featuring the waterfall at Yellowstone Park,
Which is on the label right here. It's Yellowstone Select of the current bottle.
Alrighty. Williams retired and then sold the company to J.B. Dant in 1900 and then died a few years later in 1903. So in 1906, J.B. Dant once again moved the offices to a different part of Main Street where it remained until Prohibition. So skipping to some other information there, so that gets into a lot of the history and the struggle in between Prohibition, but we're going to skip over to the information here from Wikipedia because this one was the tie-in between the Beams and the Dants, which was actually really cool. So, Yellowstone Bourbon started by J.B. Dant and J.W. Dant, or son of J.W. Dant, who teamed up with D.H. Taylor and J.T. Williams to found the Yellowstone Distillery and bottled the Yellowstone Bourbon brand. In the 1880s, so by then Glenmore bought the distillery in 1944 and operated it for several decades, which is now Diageo, bought out Glenmore in the early 1990s. It promptly shut down and sold off the Ezra Brooks and Yellowstone brands to the David Sherman Company, who would produce both brands. They didn't completely die it off. They just continued distilling it just through a different company.
Right.
Later, Sherman reapproached Heaven Hill about distilling the bourbon whiskey and aging it in Kentucky warehouses. It was then shipped to St. Louis in oak barrels where it was bottled and distributed. In 2006, the David Sherman Company rebranded itself to Luxco as a tribute to one of its co-founders, Paul Lux, and as a reflection of the current ownership of the company. In 2010, Paul and Steve Beam, descendants of both J.W. Dant and the legendary Beam family, founded Limestone Branch Distillery with the intention of crafting only the finest whiskey and the dream of restoring the Yellowstone brand to its former glory. In the spring of 2015, that dream came true when they partnered with Luxco to bring the Yellowstone brand back to the family, distilled and aged in Kentucky and bottled in historic Lebanon, Kentucky.
That brings us to the current Stephen Beam, who, when we were there last, I believe September, when we were there in September, we were able to go down, and he was on a Saturday morning. We've got the bottle right here. It was the Yellowstone limited edition. It has the Old Faithful on the label, and this limited edition, hand selected by Stephen. This particular bottle was signed by Stephen. Stephen was at the distillery signing the bottles for us, and he gave us a tour. Stephen, being a Scotchy bourbon boy, was glad to meet us in person, and we kind of talked. Now, I've been talking to him now, and we are going to be going down in April. I'll be down there, and then Young Nose will be joining us for the afternoon. But in the morning, we have booked to see Stephen. We're going to stop by. He's going to give us a tour. We're going to talk a lot about the whole history of what Limestone Branch, and also the sale of Luxco to MGP, or MGP purchasing Luxco, and what that's going to mean for Limestone Branch. Lux Row Distillery is down the street from him. I mean, it's literally down the street. And Lux Row is producing now and distilling, I believe. When you look at the hand selected and the special Yellowstone releases are being produced at the Limestone Branch Distillery by Stephen. But the main Yellowstone brand, Yellowstone Select, which we have here today, the label says distilled in Kentucky and aged in Kentucky and then bottled at the Limestone Branch Distillery. So I believe still there's a certain amount that's still being that's still aging at Heaven Hill while it's being distilled at the Luxco Distillery also. And there might be another place it's being distilled. We don't know. You don't exactly know. But at the same time, it's being bottled at the Limestone Branch Distillery and then distributed. And we've got tonight 3 very good pours. One is the Yellowstone Select, which is and we're going to go through what each one is and what it means, its pros and cons, and how everything works out in the bourbon industry. We like to usually go through as far as going into detail when we're tasting. We're going to barrel bash these, but we're also going to go into what's the pros and cons of. We have the Yellowstone Select, which is the straight bourbon that is being produced, a lot of barrels mixed together to keep a specific flavor profile. And then we've got the single barrel pick from the Liquor Barn, which is damn good. And we'll go into details. And then we have this special bottle of hand-selected Yellowstone. What is it actually called? There, Young Notes. You've got the notes on it.
For which one? The limited edition?
Yes, limited edition.
Yeah.
Thank you, Yellowstone. We'll be tasting each one. I haven't tasted this limited, though I have. Stephen gave us a taste when we were there.
Yeah,
But
I remember that. Yeah.
But I just don't. I find that sometimes when you're doing something and you're on whatever and it's early in the morning, sometimes maybe bourbon doesn't taste the same way it does when me and you are tasting. When me and you get together and whatever, our palates seem to open up.
It might taste better.
Yeah.
Like, do I have to the Sandy No Man Cave episode?
Oh my God.
The rigged little book.
So you've got a couple. You got anything else to add to this, or are we
I
pretty?
have one small little point of thought, because you had mentioned that some of it was still being distilled at Luxco, some of it might be still aging at Heaven Hill, which the aging at Heaven Hill might be true because they have massive amounts of warehouse space, but in Michael Beach's article here, it's the David Sherman Company, which became Luxco in 2006. But in 2015, Luxco purchased a share of the Limestone Branch Distillery. But part of the deal was that the Yellowstone brand would be given to Limestone Branch to produce. So based off of that, it makes it sound like Limestone Branch is actually distilling and producing the Yellowstone also.
We've both been there.
I know.
They produce 2 barrels a day. It is not being produced at the line, not the Yellowstone Select. It's produced in Kentucky.
Okay.
And they might, and Stephen may, that's one of the questions I asked, have some say so in the distilling process, maybe at Luxco. But I really believe Heaven Hill was distilling it for the most part until they opened up the Luxco distillery, which is only 2 years old. I mean, when 2019, I think it was just opened up, and we're in 2021. So I think that's when they started doing their distilling out of there, and they're probably distilling. But we will do the Stephen Beam podcast, and I'm sure Stephen will fill us in on anything that we need
details,
to, unless he has to, keep government secrets or something.
I think that would be a great idea, now that you actually say that, something about questions or whatever. But if we, obviously maybe not for this one, but the next time that we have somebody coming on, either remotely or if we're doing an in-person podcast with somebody, prime our listeners and get some questions that the listeners want to have answered, pre-set, and then have that person talk.
If you can figure that out and then implement it, feel fucking free there, young guys. Rock on. I think that would make our podcast phenomenal.
I think that would be really cool. Basically prime the group. So the podcast would probably go with the group and get, the idea is actually pretty cool. It'd be kind of interactive to the podcast listener as well.
The only thing that would be wrong with that is we might get 2 people.
Hey,
you never know with these days.
It's the first time around, it might be 2 people, and then people realize what's going on and hey.
Or maybe the first time it'll be 75, 150, and then the next time it'll be 2, because you never can tell who the hell's going to listen. It's always a surprise to me.
That's true.
Sometimes we get 4,500 people on the Facebook Live that watch it. Other times we get 1,500, and other times it's 275, and there's no rhyme nor reason. So
this is very, very true. You gotta love social media.
Yeah.
But hey, it'd be worth trying, right?
Yeah. Thank you for that little bit of extra thing, and then you got to work on that question thing.
I know.
I can just imagine for questions, you have all the questions, and then you basically keep signing in as different people asking different questions. But they're all really young nose asking questions because he's curious.
So
great idea. All right. Anyways, so what do we got in our glass right now? We have the Limestone Branch Select. We're going to start out with that.
I do have some tasty ones.
Yes, go for it because we're bashing them one at a time. In the glass, the Glencairn, we use Glencairn glasses with our Scotchy Bourbon Boys logo. Martin Duffy, the Glencairn North American glass representative, was able to hook us up on how to get these for us so that we can sell them on our website, offer them on our Patreon, and also taste out of them on our podcast. So the Scotchy Bourbon Boys Glencairn, if you're interested, go to the website, order one, or go to Patreon and support us. That brings us there. Now, tonight, I want to say that the Yellowstone bottle that we have right here, that particular bottle was sent up by Super Nash.
Super Nash!
We bought the bottle of the limited edition with Super Nash.
Oh, yeah.
Martin Nash, the AB Fire Extinguisher Services in South Carolina, North Carolina, and Georgia. He can take care of all your fire extinguisher needs. Contact Martin and Nash if you are in that area. Definitely, if you have safety fire needs, Martin will be able to hook you up.
Absolutely.
Way to go, Super Nash.
Yes. Oh my gosh, Super Nash he's a really great guy. Intended on being here tonight also to join us on the podcast via remote, but wasn't able to join us. But we're still thinking of you, and cheers, brother.
Our prayers are with you. His son Caleb had a incident where he had to be hospitalized, but he's home and doing much better. And our thoughts and our prayers are with you, Super Nash. So with that,
With that said,
we have it. Let's hear some.
We'll go into the tasting notes.
I like what it.
Yellowstone Select.
I like what it does in my glass.
I like the nice golden color.
It is. The golden color runs back down into the golden sunshine.
Oh yeah.
The legs are sticky. They're a little thin, but they're long.
Oh yeah.
But it holds onto the glass nice. This is a
Definitely long, a little thin. Yeah, I can see the sticky. I like to use a little bit, but
Now this is 93 proof with no age statement, so we're assuming it's at least 4 years old.
Yep.
That's usually what a bourbon like this. There might be some 5, 6, and 7 years. You never know. But at the same time, the age statement would have to have its youngest the bourbon, and because it's not 2 or 3, it's 4. The youngest bourbon in here is 4. So let's give her a nose.
all right. So, which is very true. On their website, it depicts that the Yellowstone Select is a blend of 4 and 7-year-old bourbons. So, with no age statement, the youngest would be 4. It is a small batch bourbon. You already mentioned 83 proof.
93.
93.
93.
Okay, the wifey must have wrote the wrong.
That's all right. It's only 10 off.
Only 10.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the nose is rye spice with soft leathered cherries. Now, I definitely get a nice fruity smell on this one. I get a lot more fruity on this one than I would the traditional caramel and vanilla.
Yeah, and I get the rye spice. I do get the rye spice, and I get the cherries with a little bit of citrus.
Yeah.